We a little crooked. Kia ora. Morena, which is not morena, it's 444. Kia ora, hello, and welcome. Oh, welcome sideways. Need two hands, Minnie. Two hands. We're not going to get it perfectly straight today. I can see how wobbly it is. Kia ora and welcome. If you are joining me, say kia ora, say hello. I would love to know that you are here with me. I'm just going to share the live. My name is Madeline Lee. If you are new here, say kia ora, say hello. I would love to know that you are here. And if you are a regular, say hello, let me know how you are. Would love to hear where you guys are coming in from and how you are feeling today. I am just going to share this too. My story, and then let's talk about crying and release of crying. There we are. So what did I name it today? I wanted to come and talk about crying and how it can, if we do not cry and we suppress those tears and we're holding them inside, or even if we don't even know that we need to cry, and it doesn't always have to mean that we're sad. I also want to say that about crying as well, that it doesn't always mean that something bad is happening because we are crying. It does not always mean that it has to be really extreme, severe, or dramatic or severe when we are crying. What did I name it today? When we cry, it releases us. It releases the stress, frustration, resentment, blocks, stuckness, anxiety, and worries. Crying has the strength to gift us calmness. So I want to talk about this today because I have experienced it myself lately, as well as I have experienced it in other people around me lately with crying. Even in times where we're not specifically, excuse me, throat's a bit scratchy today. Lid's not on the drink bottle either. I'm so lucky that it just didn't land on me. It was half like out. So I've noticed it myself. So I've just gone through what I've been calling kind of like a lull in the valley in our growth and our personal, actually a lot with my own self-love or self-hate and my frustration or my subconscious beliefs or feelings and thoughts and knowings about myself that I thought I had resolved. I thought I had healed. I thought I had moved through those. And they have resurfaced in a different way for me that I didn't actually really notice. And thanks to my mentor and thanks to, I suppose, self-development, spirituality, and the people that I surround myself in, and my partner, I didn't realize that the reason that I was looking around the last couple of months, really lost and confused, really having moments, well, not even moments, for the last two-ish months, I have been struggling to find happiness and joy in things that I usually do. And I was like, but I don't get it because I'm not unhappy, but I'm not happy, but I'm like, where am I going? And it's all chaotic and all of these things. And I was becoming really, really frustrated. And it took a lot of work and a lot of prompting from people around me and within myself, and coming back to realizing that I have had a new layer that I thought was kind of healed. I thought that I had dissolved it. I thought that I had moved through it. But it just shows us that we do go through our light and dark all the time, regardless of how much healing we've done, or we think that we've completed something as a whole and then it hits us in the face again and we experience something else similar. So the reason I'm sharing this is because So I've had this couple of months of going up and down and all around, and things in my personal life and my business and my truth and my heart and my passion of what I am doing, what I have done, and what I am going to do, or in the process of creating and doing and being, and just being myself and connecting with people and the things that I'm doing internally for me, as well as the external world things and connective, I'm surprised I didn't stop my words then, connective things that I am passionate about and want to keep doing and evolving and expanding and learning and giving and receiving and all of those things. I was in such a low flat, but it wasn't like I used to know. It wasn't extreme. It's like I'm breaking new barriers. I'm breaking things down and crushing things and unlearning, uncoding, unwinding things in my programming that I haven't ever before. And I'm finding it kind of hard to explain, so I just trust and explain what I can at the moment. But I had what day was it? Last weekend on Wednesday, I think, had like a mega emotional breakdown. And it's interesting because when I say those words, emotional breakdown, guys, it's like emotional breakdown. When you hear those words, what do you think? If you're watching live or on the replay, like, comment in the comments. Because when I say, oh, I had an emotional breakdown, or someone had an emotional breakdown, what are the thoughts and feelings that come up in your body, in your mind? Because normally my programming, my old programming, when I hear the words emotional breakdown, I really like flip into kind of a dark negative. I think, oh no, that's a panic, emotional breakdown. That means that someone's feeling really shit, and oh no, and it's negative. And that's kind of how I've been programmed, and many of us have been programmed around things like crying or getting angry or grieving or being in a negative thought pattern. So anyway, I had an emotional breakdown, what I would say, or breakthrough, if you want to word it like that, whatever you want to use. But for me, that's what I used at the time last week. I had an emotional explosion, if that makes sense, and I burst into tears. I was crying about everything and anything and nothing all at once. Leading up those 2 months to that emotional release, even those words are better, emotional release, rather than breakdown judging myself. It depends how you perceive it and what your definition is of it. But the emotional release that I had last week, I didn't even understand why I was crying. It was almost like I had given up on everything. I felt hopeless in anything and everything, personal, business, family, friends, life, relationships, everything and it was all internal. It was all internal. It was all in here. It was all my mindset. It was all my thoughts. It was all my emotions. It was how I had perceived things. It was how I understood things. It was the choice that I made in my mindset to be in those thoughts and those feelings at that time, which was divine because I was there for a reason. And then I want to say, when I got to a point when I allowed myself to be in those times of those experiences, of those emotions, and then when the time was right and I had chosen to allow the tears, to the crying, to the emotional release, instead of acting and feeling like I should be strong and shouldn't cry. But I didn't even think that. That wasn't a subconscious thought of, oh, Maddie, don't cry, because I'm very comfortable in my tears and with other people's tears and emotions. So it's interesting because it was almost automated, like unaware automation, that I was just moving through life, just living it, just doing it. So living in my masculine like I do, because that is a big piece of Maddie. And when I allowed that release of emotion to come through, I bawled my eyes out for about an hour and a half. I think it was last Wednesday-ish, midweek anyway. And literally within about 3 hours after that, probably directly after that, but I was processing, crying, and then feeling those emotions, and they all come out, and I'm like, oh my God. And then we automatically, unconsciously judge ourselves quite often, because I wasn't judging myself. I said, it's fine, Maddie, there's been a lot of heavy stuff happening. There's been huge stuff. You've been healing some deep shit. There's a lot of fucking changes going on. There's a lot of grief going on. Like, I just hit like the 12-month mark of working with my mentor, my healer. That's the longest 12 months? Is it 12 months? No, sorry, not working with her. 12 months will be in February, but 12 months since I discovered her and have been doing her content and work and courses, if that makes sense. So in a way, working with her, but not one-on-one with her. And I was like, fuck, this is huge. The milestone is huge, and there's so much that's going on. La. So what was I talking about? Judging self when having tears or crying and things like that. It's like an automation. Like, I am comfortable with tears and crying and emotion, my own and others. They don't exactly shock me anymore or stress me, because some of us, depending on our trauma, our experiences, our life upbringing, sometimes extreme emotions like crying and tears, or frustration or anger or expression in our words and our body language through our emotions can be really stressful for some people. Sometimes people see other people cry and it stresses them out because of whatever they have been through, if that makes sense. And so what I'm sharing is that I am now in a place where I would describe myself as being comfortable with expression of emotions, like all emotions, with myself and with others. But then last week, when I had that emotional release, I automatically was judging myself of, oh my gosh, I didn't say the words in my head, but the feelings. So I must have been having subconscious thoughts somewhere in there, or beliefs flying around or floating around within my energy, within my system, my soul, my mindset. These thoughts of judging myself, that, oh, you're crazy, oh, you're unstable, oh, what are you doing, you're having a breakdown, judge, because I was crying, because it had been programmed into me so many times by our society of not normal, of associating that tears or crying and letting out those emotions, oh, it means something negative. Like, most of the time, if we sat down and we asked you the question and said, be raw, honest, and it doesn't matter, I don't want you to change it, I just want you to write in the comments, when I say, oh, this person's crying, or if you walked past and you saw me crying and I had tears rolling down my face, what would you automatically think? What would you automatically feel? What would come up for you right in those moments? Often we've associated it with something negative, that someone is struggling, so that someone is, and of course those instincts are important as well to, I suppose, make us aware to, do people need support around us? How can I protect my energy and look after myself in situations like that? How can I support that person? Is that person safe? What's going on for them or ourselves? How do I react? What comes up for me when I see that person? Etc, etc, etc. So I'm going on a bit of a ramble there, guys, but I think what I'm shining light on today around crying is, I cried last week, and shit me, a few hours later, maybe 3 hours later, all of a sudden it was like my day had just gone polar opposite. It was just like a whole different day. I was like, was I just crying? Was I just breaking down about all of that for all those weeks? And what just happened? Oh. And then all of a sudden it was just like the thing was just gone. All of the things were just gone. The stress, the judging myself, the sabotage, this, that, the other. And there was like such a release, a potent release that had released from me, unintentionally in a sense, but probably intentionally, because I was allowing myself to cry and express that my body, my soul, my mind, my heart, whatever wanted to come out, my emotions, it needed to come out. It wanted to come out. There has been now 3 situations I have had in this week. Well, 4 counting myself, the one I just shared with you, and then 3 other situations with differing people that I have spent time with this week, we have people have come, and I can see the emotions or expression of stress or anxiety or stress, anxiety, all of those emotions like worry, almost panic. What else do I want to say? Like depressive moods or stress, anxiety, that kind of stuff. There's another word trying to come through, but I don't quite know. But there's been 3 different situations or situations with different people this week where that has kind of happened, and I can feel it, and they can feel it, but they're not quite sure how to move through it. And then all of a sudden, all I have done is stood there with them, or somehow they have trusted me enough to turn around and say to me, Maddie, this is what's going on, or Maddie, can you hold space for me for a second? Or Maddie, I don't know what to do. What do I do with this anxiety? I don't know what to do, Maddie. Have you got any And then all I've done is stood there with them and held space in a way that they felt safe and okay and not judged to cry. Just to cry. Just gave space to cry. And then isn't it insane when we give space to cry, those 3 people situations, after the tears had actually rolled down their face, come out of their body, come out of their energy, come out of their soul, their heart, out of the emotions, out of the frustration or the self-sabotage or the worry or the fear or the confusion or whatever emotions, the multiple of them, the layers of them that person was experiencing, because there was safe space being held where they could actually just allow the tears to come out, to express the tears without judgment, without going, oh no, are you okay? Or, oh, you must be crazy. Or, oh, don't cry, that's really bad. It's not appropriate to cry. Oh, I have to be strong and not cry. Because no one was doing that in that space, because it was like, just actually let it out. Just breathe, let it out, because actually underneath all those emotions that I just labeled, the frustration, the fear, the anxiety, the worry, the all the things, the stress, all of those things, the sabotage, the shaming ourselves, the blaming others, all of those things, what is underneath it is more layers of things like sadness, hurt, pain, guilt. And otherwise, if we do not cry it and release it, where does it stay? It stays stuck in here. And then we just walk around and we just keep on doing the things and we just get more stressed and we just walk around and we're just like, no, it's alright. And then until we fucking crash. Until we crash and burn. Until we have no choice. That we can't hold it together and then cry explosion. And then it just explodes everywhere. And then it's an emotional eruption rather than an emotional release. So now what is coming through is that one of the messages today from me sharing this around crying and allowing yourself to cry and release is, can we practice, can I practice, can you practice more of bringing awareness to, oh, I'm building. I'm frustrated all the time. I'm short, I'm grumpy, I'm tired, I'm confused, I'm over this place, I'm over myself, blah, 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 me. Okay, cool. Do you need to have a cry? Because it's building. Can we bring awareness to how we're feeling in our emotions, in our body, in our energy, in our mind, in our soul just a little bit more each day, each week? Have a check-in, even if you can't do it every day yet. Make it a weekly. Pick a day of the week and say, each week I'm going to check in with myself and I'm going to ask myself, what emotions have been coming up the most for me this week? Numbness, detachment. What is coming up for you? So that you can check in, so that we can, it's almost like a preventative, but in a sense like maybe maintenance is the better word, not preventative of an emotional explosion, but a maintenance of loving yourself by checking in with those emotions so that you can, before it gets to the extent of extreme and severity of and then you can't even hold the tears in, so it becomes an emotional explosion, and then afterwards you go, oh, you're like, oh, yay, I feel relaxed, I have release. I release, almost like orgasms, it's all I can think of it relating to. It's or like pressure in a balloon. Don't know where that came from. Orgasms or pressure in the build-up of like a balloon. We see lots of those TikToks and those reels of like, I don't know, when they have Coke and Mentos and stuff and put the balloons and then like shake it and it goes whoosh. That's what I'm kind of thinking of as well. It's like, can we check in with these emotions more and allow ourselves to consistently cry more? I never thought I'd say that. Because there is potent power in, it's almost like filling your cup with little bits regularly of consistency of, okay, so like, do I need to cry? Is there something really big going on? Am I frustrated? Am I confused? Am I shaming myself or beating myself up? That's what I've been spending the last 2 months doing, guys. Beating myself over the head. Literally. But I didn't really realize. I knew and I was aware, but I just needed to be where I was the last 2 months. And that is that. And that is divine. But if I had to have allowed myself to cry a little more, I think I would have shifted through it a bit more, if that makes any sense. I would have held myself deeper. I'm also going to do a live this week about holding space, how to hold space for yourself, what holding space is, and how to hold space for other people, whether it's your loved ones, whether it's your clients in your business, your workmates, etc. Because holding space is something that I have now learned for a long time, but I had learned how to hold space for so many other people, my clients, my friends, colleagues, and things like that. But holding space for ourselves, that is a challenge. And I feel like the messages and things that I have learned over the last little while about learning to come back to holding space for myself rather than screaming for everyone else to hold space for me all the time, which there's other attachment imprinting, or shall I say, me personally. But yeah, what's my point? So we're coming back. I'm gonna do another live about holding space, what holding space is, how to hold space for yourself, how to hold space for someone that you care about or someone you'd hardly even know. These 3 situations where there was also differing emotions on top, with exhaustion and stress and worry and anxiety and all of these things coming up for those people. When they cried, when they allowed the tears to come out of their face, when I held enough space for them, or they just, from me being me and the little bit like, these are new people to my life that I have not spent much time with, that I don't really know, that I'm getting to know like this, and it feels like I've known them like this, but realistically in our real life, I've known them a couple of weeks, and these people can feel that I will hold that energy so they feel safe and trusting that there will be no judgment, that it is a safe place to allow our eyes to cry, to let the tears drop, and not have a judgment of whether it's negative, positive, this, that, the other. It's just, it needs to be released. The energy needs to be released, and the emotion needs to be released out of us. So can you check in with yourself more? Ask yourself when you cried last. There's some people that I know. There was one person in my past life, so in this life, but someone that I don't actually spend time with anymore, someone that I know that hadn't actually cried in years. They seem very unique in their emotions, but that surprised me. And then I looked at my observation of their life and their emotions that they had shared with me, and I was like, wow, this is so huge. That almost said, like, I'm like, how do you get through it without that release? And there is potency in how we can shift and how much it releases everything, and then we go, oh, it wasn't a big deal. it was a big deal to me in that moment, but then when I released all the crying and the tears and the emotions, suddenly we in ourselves go, before we're like, oh my God, I'm so stressed, I'm getting anxiety about this, and what about this, and it's overwhelming, and blah, 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 and I'm pissing and I'm blaming myself, and why can't I do this, I haven't achieved this yet, blah, 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 blah. And then we cry. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh, none of that stuff really matters, does it? Where did that come from? Oh, I don't know. Oh. And then we go, oh, it's actually okay. It's all okay. Oh my God, okay, release. It's all good, let's move on now. And then suddenly it feels like nothing really happened. Even though we know that something big really just happened, and it was big to us and it is big to us. It's not disregarding it. But you know that shift when we like, ah, and everything's building up, and then all of a sudden we cry. And then we're like, oh, it's okay. Like, that's what I kind of feel like this week. It was just like frustrating, and like everything was building up last week, and I was just like, oh my God, I give up, everything is shit, and I'm just lost, and I don't know, and I'm detached from everything, and I'm disconnected, and my business that, and that, and this person, and this relationship, what is going on, and I've got no car, like building it all up, Maddie. until the release of the magic that comes from our tears, from our crying. So messages, guys, allow yourself to cry. And if you're not feeling like crying, but you're feeling frustration, anger, fear, anxiety, confusion, blame, resentment, guilt, flatness, can you bring awareness to those emotions? Bring awareness to yourself and check in with those, because most times if you check in with those emotions underneath there is tears. There is tears that want to release. Sometimes we don't understand them. Sometimes we're like, but doesn't tears mean that we're sad, or that we're this, or blah, 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 or we're not happy? Actually, sometimes tears just, there's all sorts of different crying. There's different types of healing crying. There's different types of release through our tears. There's different types of stuff, and it releases in different ways. Yes, sometimes we are crying and grieving because we are sad, or we're feeling the sadness, or the hurt, or the pain. And then other times it's just like, oh, there's just all this pressure just building up, and I just need to release it. And then out it comes, and then we shift and we move so quickly. So if you are catching the replay or the live, if you're catching the replay, I skipped my words then. If you're catching the replay, do a hashtag replay. If you're catching the replay or the live and you can resonate to this about crying, let me know. Let me know how you feel about crying, where you stand with crying. Do you cry? Or do you cry all the time? Do you feel like, I've had people say, oh, I cry too much. I cry all the time, Maddie. Like, I feel like I've cried too much. There's no tears left to cry. And maybe those are as much tears as you're needing. And I have a girlfriend, and she says to me, Maddie, there's no more tears to cry. Like, I've been crying so much. I'm sick of it. And I'm like, yeah, I can resonate. But the power of crying, maybe that's what your soul needs. Maybe that's what your healing needs, your mind and your emotions and the energy in your body. When we cry, it releases out of us, guys. So the message is that, can you step into awareness around your crying, your emotions, and those heart emotions, those... I don't want to label, I want to say my masculine emotions. Let's say my masculine emotions of go, 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 and this and that and that and that, and my certainty. And when I'm in my masculine energy, sometimes when I stop and I pause and I take a deep breath, I realize that the masculinity in my energy is sometimes a protection, because actually I'm hurting underneath, or actually I really need to cry or release because there is stuff that is fuming inside me to get out of my body and my energy. Yeah. So today, see what you can bring up around, do you cry? When was the last time you cried? What do you feel like when you cry? When you cry, do you understand why you're crying or not? And it's okay if you don't understand why you're crying. Do you stop yourself from crying? A big one that I learned, I can't remember where I learned it, but a big one that landed for me was somewhere I heard someone teaching about how when we cry, do not try not to wipe your tears away. So like when we cry and we're sitting there and we're crying, when we wipe our tears away, it's almost like we're shaming ourselves or resenting ourselves, and we're like, oh, come on, like, hurry up and stop crying. In a sense, like, we're almost shaming ourselves in some way, and it doesn't. So can you sit there, like, next time you cry, can you sit there and I just heard someone's voice go, but is that appropriate? If it's not appropriate, Maddie, I'm like, I'm sick of people saying it's not appropriate to cry. There was someone else that had another example in their life, and they said, oh, but it wasn't, I was trying to be appropriate, I was trying to be professional and not cry. And I went, what the fuck is not professional about crying? You're fucking human. I think it's fucking professional to cry. That's my perception. Kia ora, beautiful Ari. Oh my God, thank you. I needed to hear this. Yes, beautiful lady. I'm glad. But yeah, I heard someone recently say, but I was trying to hold it together and be strong, and I had to be appropriate and I had to be professional. It's fucking professional. In my world, and you make a choice, it's your perception. In my world, it's fucking professional to cry. It is real, it is human, and do not tell me that every single fucking human on this earth has not cried a tear. Because we are all human. And to release those emotions and how we're feeling and to heal, to let it out of our body, it has to come out somewhere. It has to come out. That went on a really big tangent. What was I? Where was I going with that? Tears coming out. Oh, wiping tears. So when we wipe tears, it is in a sense almost like shames ourselves. We're not shaming it. It might be that, you know, we've got a snotty nose and it's dripping down our face. You get that. But next time you cry or tears come up, see if you can, like, intentionally and consciously, like, sit there, and if you're crying and you're like, oh fuck, everything's fucking shit today, oh, I got fucking whatever, just sit there and you'll probably go to wipe it, and then hopefully you'll think about me saying this and talking to you about it. Actually go, oh, okay, I'm just going to allow, like, it's actually very powerful to allow the tears to drip all the way down your motherfucking face, all the way down your body, and actually cry and just be like, oh, and it's all down your boobs and your snotty face, and it's like, actually, like, oh, okay, I'm allowing and I'm accepting these emotions in my body. I'm accepting and allowing myself and my body, my emotions, my soul, whatever needs to come out. I'm sitting here and I'm allowing that because it's natural. I'm not shaming myself. We don't need to quickly tidy up and, oh, I'm coming. Oh no, everyone's going to see that I look a bit upset. Oh, I'm crying. That's fucking fine, because you know what? That's power, stepping into owning who you are, that you are human, that you are natural, that you don't need to be fake, you don't need to change any of that, because it is a fucking release. It is fucking healing when we release and when that energy comes out. And if we don't allow that to come out, one day it just snaps, or we become internally unhappy in some way or form where no one sees, where we hide away. We might, because everyone deals with it differently, but this is what's coming through right now. It's like, either it will just keep building and building and building until explosion, cry explosion, emotional explosion again, how I was talking about before, and then we just can't hold it together and then we blow. Ugh! And it's just like all over the place. Or there's some other different types of people that we experience sometimes that just hide it and just keep going, and they kind of seem okay on the external until really suddenly they get to a point and they're like, well, I'm really not fucking happy and I don't know why, and I'm looking around and I'm like, ugh. And I wonder if that's what happened with me the last 2 months, guys, is I wonder if the way that I was just getting up and my masculine just do Maddie, yep, get things done, oh, you're meant to do this, commit to this, follow through, consistency, come on bitch, hurry the fuck up, come on, get up, same old fucking shit. But I wasn't in it. I wasn't expressing all of me, that what my actual emotions and how I was feeling underneath, because it was coming back to, I was beating myself up for not being in places that I already wanted to fucking be. The manifestations, the desires, the goals, all the things that I was setting out to do. And I was just beating myself up, focusing on my more negative thought patterns of, but Maddie, you haven't done this, but you haven't done that, and you haven't done this, you haven't completed that yet, Maddie, well, you're not blah, 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 and just going round in this circle, which then I became flat and in my lull until I cried last week, and I had my, what did I call it, emotional release, not an emotional breakdown, and then all of a sudden, it just felt like a new space of healing, a new release of calmness. What was the name of the live? There was something in there. The strength to, I gotta read this again. When we cry, it releases us. It releases the stress, frustration, resentment, blocks, stuckness, anxiety, and worries. Crying has the strength to gift us calmness. So this is the calmness that crying gave me. It gifted me moments of calmness afterwards, after the build up, an emotional explosion. And then suddenly I was like, Maddie, it's all not that bad, but you need to come back to your center. Are you loving yourself, or are you telling yourself off for all the things you haven't done when you have done absolutely fucking incredible shit, and you need to make a choice to shift that mindset? You need to give yourself time, and I really did need that time, and I needed that time to sit in my valid victim. I needed that time and space. I needed that time to process, to recode, to recalibrate. And then last week it got to a point where, Maddie, you got to move. This one's got to move. And there was just like nothing left. I didn't really know. I was like, my energy's just not coming back. Normally energy of Maddie comes back. Where is she? Where the fuck is she? Well, she's not there because I've been giving her no fucking attention. Because I've been giving everyone else attention. Because I've been worrying about everyone else and helping everyone else. And what about that person? What about this person? Blah, blah, blah. People pleasing. So come back to me, Maddie. What do I need? What do I need to put myself first in? I'm hot and sweaty now in my new orange sports bra, which I'm very excited about. So take away something from that. I hope, I'm going to pull one card before I get off. I'm going to pull an Archangel. But I hope there's some messages in there, because I've had 3 different situations now. Well, 4 counting me, but 3 of other people just have eruptions of tears in the last week, and you're not alone, and it's all good. If you need to cry, you need to cry. And can we normalize that a little bit more? And if you're not in that space where you're needing to cry, maybe if you can see or feel different emotions around you, in friends, family, people, can you learn to hold space for them? If you don't know how to hold space, then, darling, catch my live this week. I'm going to do a live on how to hold space for yourself, how to hold space for others, and really even attempt to, even if you're like, I don't really know what holding space means. I want you to just like try and normalize and sit with that we all cry. We all have those emotions of crying, and it is okay. That card wants us, baby. What are we? Archangel Chamuel. Open your heart to give and receive love. Your essence is love. How fucking potent is that? For what we just spoke about today, guys. Just going to read from the book, but it is open your heart to give and receive love. Your essence is love. So messages that are coming through right now, it's like what we've just talked about crying. Can you love yourself for crying? Can you love yourself for just being naturally you? It does not mean you are weak. It does not mean you are having a breakdown. It does not mean that you are losing it, or that you are crazy, or that you are silly, or that, oh, you need some help. It's none of that. It's just you being your human self. Can you love yourself for that? Can you learn how to love yourself for that? And people around you, can you learn or be open to learning how to hold space for others around you, around this crying stuff and around anything in life, to, you know, hold them in love and show space and support for them and us as a whole, yeah? Archangel Chamuel, and then I will leave you because I'm hot and sweaty. My room's so sweaty. Archangel Chamuel, 22, baby. 22. So we are Archangel Chamuel. Open your heart to give and receive love. Your essence is love. Archangel Chamuel is the beautiful white and pink angel of love. His etheric retreat is above St. Louis, Missouri, and here, in sleep or meditation, you can access and be filled by his compassion. He overlights Central and South America and the Caribbean. All aspects of love are held in the 33 chambers of your heart chakra, and Archangel Chamuel helps you explore these. When you are ready, he enables you to connect your heart center to Venus, the cosmic heart, to receive a flow of pure transcendent light. This pours through you when you are ready to receive the frequency of unconditional acceptance. Archangel Chamuel endeavors to connect us all from heart to heart to bring about oneness on earth. Love is everything. Guidance. When you receive this card, your guidance is to reevaluate all your relationships with eyes of love. Open your heart to everyone, especially those who are challenging. When you can accept them as they are, your heart chakra radiates a glorious white-pink light. Your aura becomes warm and inviting, and people behave differently towards you. Look at personal and world situations with a wise, compassionate heart. Do not enter into dramas in thought, word, or deed. Rather, ask Archangel Chamuel to help you raise the vibrations of lower situations with the power of your heart energy. You are being reminded that your heart is your most important spiritual center. Connect with Archangel Chamuel and attract loving and gracious situations into your life. Potent. So beautiful, peoples. If you have not seen yet, I am launching a new program next week, I'm hoping. It is called Elevate Your Dream Life Consciousness. So stay tuned if you want to check that out. It is going to be freaking luxurious. It is going to be so delicious. So we'll be talking a bit more and dropping some details over the next little while about Elevate. Otherwise, I love you all dearly. We will see you for some live cards this week, so keep an eye on your Facebook to see when we are live doing those as well. Drop in and I can pull a card and a message for you. Otherwise, I love you all dearly and have a beautiful, beautiful afternoon.